I want you to take a second and just look around the room you're in right now.
Yeah, take it all in.
Like, look at the art hanging on your walls, or maybe, the framed photographs sitting on your desk. We're so used to these images being completely silent.
Right, they're just background noise. Well, visual background noise.
Exactly. They are these frozen moments in time, just quietly observing our lives, asking absolutely nothing of us but like a passing glance.
Hmm.
But what if suddenly those silent images had a voice? What if that photograph on your desk had a rhythm, a deep bass line, an entire sonic identity that just filled the room?
It would completely change the gravity of the physical space around you.
Right.
I mean, you'd stop passively looking at a flat surface, and you'd be forced into this active, multi-sensory relationship with the history of that object.
And that sensory shift, that jolt from passive viewing to active listening, that is the exact premise of the source material for today's deep dive.
It's such a cool concept.
It really is. We are looking at a digital booklet for a truly groundbreaking multimedia project called If These Walls Could Talk. It was created by an artist and producer named C.Stone The Breadwinner.
A really ambitious project, too.
Super ambitious. Our mission today is to explore a fascinating 20-year-old vault of Black fine art, a son's highly personal quest to fulfill his late father's legacy, and a music art fusion that is going to completely challenge how you consume visual masterpieces.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal intersection of family history, financial risk, and just pure artistic innovation.
To give you an idea of what we are dealing with here, imagine someone discovers a sunken treasure chest filled with gold.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
But instead of just polishing the coins and putting them behind a thick pane of glass in a museum where people can only stare at them in total silence, the discoverer decides to melt the gold down.
Oh, wow.
Right. They forge an entirely new type of currency that everyone can actually use, trade, and carry in their pockets today. That is what C.Stone is doing with this artwork.
That's a great way to put it.
But to understand why this project is so revolutionary, we first have to go back to Killeen, Texas, over 2 decades ago, to understand the vault itself.
Yeah, you really cannot separate the art from the physical reality of its origin story. This all begins with C.Stone's father, Willie Stone Sr.
Right.
He established a premier fine art gallery and frame shop in Central Texas, located at 300E Hallmark Suite A in Killeen.
And it wasn't just a place to buy a nice picture for your living room either. Willie Stone Sr. had a very specific, ambitious mission.
He really did.
He wanted to curate the region's absolute most comprehensive collection of Black fine art. Alongside military artwork, he was building a real cultural hub.
He was building an institution. But, institutions are fragile. Willie Stone Sr. passed away in 2003, and the gallery, without its visionary, closed its doors.
Which is heartbreaking.
It is. And this is where the story takes a literal and figurative pause. Because for 20 years, hundreds of limited edition gallery quality prints.
Masterpieces, really.
Yeah, masterpieces by legendary Black artists. They were carefully packed into boxes, moved into a storage unit, and the door was pulled shut. They essentially vanished from the public eye.
Just sitting in the dark. Which brings us to C.Stone, the youngest of the 3 Stone children.
Right.
He didn't just want to pull up a truck, open the storage unit, and have like a massive impersonal estate sale. He developed a multi-spectrum vision to liquidate this appreciating inventory for a few very specific, highly personal reasons.
And the stakes here are incredibly high. I mean, he isn't just moving product. He needs to pay off 2 decades worth of accumulated storage costs.
Which has to be a fortune.
Think about that ticking clock. 240 months of rent just to keep his father's dream safe.
Wow.
He also wants to fund his mother T. Stone's well-earned retirement, and ultimately, he wants to prove his father's original business thesis correct.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is the core tension of the entire project for me. Is it actually a risk to lock art away for 20 years?
Well, it certainly can be.
Usually when art is hidden away in a climate-controlled box, it loses its cultural relevance. It falls completely out of the zeitgeist.
Right. Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. Does dusting off a 20-year-old print and suddenly slapping a price tag on it really guarantee that people will care after 2 decades of silence?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, C.Stone isn't just dusting it off and hoping for the best. That's the genius of his approach.
What do you mean?
He realized that a modern audience, a generation whose brains have been completely rewired by constant digital multimedia stimulation, they might physically be unable to connect with legacy art in a traditional way.
That makes sense.
If you just hang a 20-year-old print on a sterile white gallery wall, a 20-something might walk right past it. But if you give that painting a soundtrack, if you transform it into an auditory canvas, you circumvent the gallery entirely and meet the audience in their headphones.
You essentially hack their attention span.
Precisely. You reset the cultural relevance by changing the delivery mechanism entirely.
So how do you actually make a 20-year-old painting speak to a modern audience? You give it a sonic identity. And that brings us to the core concept of If These Walls Could Talk, Volume 1. For this inaugural volume, C.Stone personally went into that Killeen vault and selected 11 rare, limited edition prints from his father's collection.
And this is where the sheer labor of the project becomes apparent.
Wow.
He didn't just hand these prints off to, like, a team of random session musicians.
Right, he did it himself.
Yeah, he personally wrote, produced, and arranged 14 original tracks. The song titles, the instrumentation, and the lyrical themes all directly mirror the physical brushstrokes and subjects of the artwork.
The digital booklet details this translation beautifully. The title track, If These Walls Could Talk, acts as the prelude.
It sets the stage perfectly.
It does. It explicitly invites the listener to transcend the visual and enter a realm where art speaks through sound. But I want to look at the mechanics of these specific pairings, because this is where the translation from canvas to track actually happens.
Let's do it.
I was looking through the source material, and I got stuck on Charles Bibbs's piece, Blue Diva. Visually, it's striking, but it feels emotionally distant. I expected the music to be sharp, maybe a little aggressive, but C.Stone went in a totally different direction.
Charles Bibbs is celebrated for blending realism with geometric extraction, and Blue Diva is a perfect example of that. It's highly stylized.
Right.
So C.Stone translates the visual blue of the print not into aggression, but into a masterclass of modern street soul. Think about the mechanics of that choice.
Yeah, how do you make a song sound blue?
Exactly. You slow down the tempo, you introduce a heavy, dragging, rhythmic bass line, and layer it with these atmospheric, echoing synth pads. It's cool, it's moody, it feels deeply nocturnal.
It sounds like the audio equivalent of a neon sign reflecting in a puddle on a rainy night.
That is the exact texture. Thematically, the track turns the visual diva into a personification of the hustle itself.
Oh, interesting.
The hustle is beautiful and alluring when you're chasing it, but at the same time, it's cold and unforgiving. The wide spaces between the musical notes capture that exact duality of isolation and beauty present in the painting.
Then you turn the page in the booklet, and you get a completely different sonic mechanism with William Tolliver's piece, The Final Rinse.
Oh, that one is incredible.
Tolliver was a largely self-taught artist from Mississippi, known for bold colors and incredibly dynamic compositions of Southern life. The print depicts a very intimate, quiet moment. A woman tenderly washing the last bit of soap from a young girl's hair over a basin.
It's such a gentle image.
It really is. And the track paired with it is this massive, sweeping, contemporary gospel song.
Yeah, it takes the literal, physical act of washing hair and scales it up. The gospel chord progressions elevate a domestic chore into a theological metaphor for a life cleanse.
A life cleanse. I like that.
It becomes about having the emotional courage to wash away what refuses to grow in your life. The strong, soaring gospel vocals don't just capture the water falling, they capture the sense of spiritual renewal and liberation. You're shedding the past and nurturing the new.
Here's where it gets really interesting,
Yeah.
and maybe a little controversial from a strict art critique standpoint.
Okay.
If I walk into a museum and look at The Final Rinse in silence, my brain does the heavy lifting. I project my own emotions onto it. Maybe I just feel a quiet nostalgia for my own grandmother.
Sure.
But if C.Stone pumps a soaring gospel track into my ears while I look at it, isn't he forcing his specific interpretation onto my brain? Is this music acting like a heavy Instagram filter over the original art, telling me exactly how I'm supposed to feel?
It's a very valid concern. I mean, anytime you add a secondary medium, you risk overpowering the primary one. But C.Stone addresses this tension directly in his mission statement.
What does he say?
He argues that he is creating a complete cultural experience that honors the artist's original intent. It's less of a restrictive filter and more of a translational bridge.
A bridge.
Yeah, we have to remember the context. These prints have been locked in a dark room for 20 years. For a new generation who has zero context for William Tolliver or Charles Bibbs, throwing them into a silent room might just result in total apathy.
I hear that, but you have to admit, hearing a massive gospel choir fundamentally alters how my brain processes that visual compared to seeing it in silence. It's a very specific bridge he's building.
It is specific, but it provides a necessary starting point. It offers a sonic vocabulary to help them engage with the visual narrative. It doesn't overwrite the viewer's experience, it jumpstarts it.
And that bridge isn't just about making the art seem trendy with cool beats. It's about delivering deeply rooted cultural messages. Rather than just walking through these pieces one by one, I noticed a profound recurring dichotomy in the curation. There is this heavy, systemic reality, contrasting sharply with joyous celebration. Let's look at how Gilbert Young's work handles this weight.
Gilbert Young is a master at capturing the raw weight of the Black experience. His most famous piece, He Ain't Heavy, is incredibly iconic.
Oh, definitely.
It symbolizes ultimate unity. A man reaching down over a wall, his muscles straining to pull another man up. The corresponding track translates that visual tension into a soulful celebration of an unbreakable bond.
The music matches that physical effort.
Yes, the rising chord progressions literally mimic the act of lifting. It's an anthem expressing that true brotherhood means carrying each other, regardless of the physical or emotional toll.
But then you flip to another Gilbert Young piece called The Burden, and the sonic translation completely flips.
It's a stark contrast.
If He Ain't Heavy is about the solution, the lifting, The Burden is about the crushing systemic reality that makes the lifting necessary. The print visually encapsulates the immense invisible weight carried by Black men in America.
And the music for The Burden dives straight into those complex layers. The track utilizes dissonant chords and heavy, dragging downbeats.
Just really heavy.
It's raw, it has a haunting melody that lingers, acting as both a tribute to endurance and a very stark, uncomfortable call to action.
The collection doesn't let you drown in that heaviness. It pivots beautifully. You have Gilbert Young's Woman in Red, paired with an evocative, graceful track that celebrates the natural beauty and confidence of Black women, and To Touch a Star, which uses smooth, expansive R&B synths to capture the universal theme of chasing dreams.
You see that same joyful resistance in Brian Collier's piece, Roots. Collier is a renowned illustrator known for his vivid, chaotic collage style.
How do you even translate a visual collage into sound?
Well, C.Stone layers different Caribbean polyrhythms, syncopated bass lines right under bright percussion. It creates a vibrant, infectious anthem that celebrates natural hair textures and ancestral stories. The layering of the music perfectly mimics the layering of Collier's cut paper.
Alongside that heritage, I picked up on a very strong, almost aggressive current of nostalgia running through the album.
Oh, for sure.
For example, the track The Brave One is this deeply nostalgic ode to the 1990s. The lyrics reflect on a time before smartphones, when childhood was spent outdoors, led by that one fearless neighborhood friend who pushed everyone to jump the fence or climb the tree.
You also have Gifted, which taps heavily into the 80s pop and soul. It features a bouncy Jackson 5 style groove.
It's super catchy.
It is. It's an upbeat anthem about realizing your self-worth after a heartbreak, declaring that the real loss is on the person who couldn't see your value.
I have to push back a little here on this heavy reliance on nostalgia, though. Listening to this, it feels practically like a curriculum of the Black experience over the last few decades.
It does feel like a curriculum, yeah.
But is there a danger of looking at the past through rose-colored glasses? If we are glorifying the carefree days of the 80s and 90s with these upbeat, sunny pop anthems, aren't we somehow ignoring the very real, harsh struggles of those eras?
That's a fair point.
Because it was the exact same struggles that necessitated heavy, poignant art like The Burden in the first place.
What's fascinating here is how the curation of the album actually prevents that historical amnesia you're worried about. The track list doesn't let you just have the nostalgia without the reality.
That is so.
By placing The Burden right alongside The Brave One, it deliberately balances the systemic struggles with the joyous celebrations of childhood. It's making a profound statement that the Black experience isn't a monolith of pain, nor is it just a carefree retro aesthetic.
You need both.
Exactly. You need both the pain and the pop, the solemn gospel of the final rinse and the sunny Caribbean rhythm of Roots to tell the full, accurate story of the culture.
That real-world application is also perfectly captured in the pairing for Charles Bibbs's piece, Patterns of Life.
Oh, that's a crucial piece.
Visually, you have an elderly man sitting on a porch, leaning in to advise a young man who looks like he is on the brink of making some very poor choices. The elder is telling him he has to break unproductive generational patterns if he wants to survive and grow.
What makes this specific pairing so vital to the project is that it bridges the gap between the canvas and the concrete. C.Stone isn't just producing a song about mentorship, he actively lives it.
Right, through his organization.
Yeah, the narrative of Patterns of Life directly mirrors C.Stone's actual real-world organization, the Breadwinner Big Brothers. They actively work in the community to help individuals break those exact destructive cycles.
That's amazing.
It is. The 20-year-old art inspires the modern music, and the music reflects the ongoing community action.
So he's created this massive, emotional, multisensory bridge to a new generation. But that brings up a really practical, unavoidable problem.
The logistics.
Exactly. How do you actually get a 20-year-old physical painting out of a storage unit in Texas and into the hands of a 20-something who exclusively streams music on their phone?
It's not easy.
It isn't just uploaded to a standard streaming service where it gets buried by an algorithm. It is launched exclusively on C.Stone's platform, breadwinner.biz, under the Breadwinner Music Group.
And this is where they disrupt the traditional art market. They're utilizing what they call the proud-to-pay system.
Which is essentially name your price.
Right, a name-your-price model. They are intentionally removing the financial barriers for the digital album, allowing supporters to download the music and value the art on their own terms.
But it's the cross-promotion strategy that really caught my eye. If you buy the digital album, even if you name a low price, it unlocks significant discounts on those 20-year-old limited edition physical prints.
And they all come with documented provenance to prove their authenticity.
Exactly. Conversely, if you purchase the high-ticket physical prints, you get complimentary album downloads and escalating rewards the more art you acquire.
It creates a brilliant ecosystem. The digital audio acts as the marketing engine that drives the acquisition of the physical legacy and vice versa.
So what does this all mean? To me, it sounds almost like a reverse Patreon.
A reverse Patreon.
Yeah. In the modern creator economy, usually you pay a monthly fee for a digital subscription, and as a reward, a creator mails you a cheap, mass-produced physical coffee mug or a poster.
Right.
Here, C.Stone is flipping it on its head. The digital album is essentially given away to build the audience, acting as the key that unlocks a 20-year-old physical vault of scarce, appreciating fine art.
That's a really good analogy.
But I have to question the financial viability of this. Name your price is notoriously risky. Consumers have been trained to expect digital content for free.
They absolutely have. But C.Stone is operating on a strict artist-first philosophy. By removing the financial barrier to entry, he is generating immense goodwill. He is trusting the narrative.
Trusting that the story sells it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When people experience the emotional weight of the burden or the infectious joy of roots, they aren't just buying a song, they're buying into the story of a son saving his father's legacy.
That makes a lot of sense.
He relies entirely on the community to value the art, which ties perfectly into the communal themes of brotherhood and heritage depicted in the artwork itself. You're asking a community that deeply values its history to voluntarily invest in preserving it, rather than forcing them behind a paywall.
It's an incredible high-wire act of a journey. We started at a locked silent gallery in Killeen, Texas, with hundreds of prints gathering dust and racking up debt.
And we've ended up with a 14-track auditory canvas.
Yeah, an auditory canvas that hacks the modern attention span to revive the legacies of legendary Black artists like Gilbert Young, Charles Bibbs, and William Polliver.
It proves that gaining knowledge about our history doesn't mean you have to endure a dry, silent museum tour. Innovation, like fusing original modern production with classic painting, is sometimes the most effective way to ensure tradition actually survives.
It doesn't overwrite the past, it just gives it a microphone so it can finally be heard over the noise of the present.
I want to leave you with this to think about after you finish listening today. Look around again at the heirloom objects in your own home.
The things tucked away in boxes in your attic.
Yeah, or the faded photos sitting in your albums. If you had to compose an original song for the absolute most meaningful object you own, what genre of music would it be? How fast would the tempo be? And more importantly, what story would it finally tell the world if those walls could talk?